All right, another Josh cast, which is, I don't know what I'm doing. I really don't. I feel like I am perennially behind everybody else when it comes to all this social media stuff and all this TikTok and etc. And it's, I will be bitterly honest. It's annoying to see people who've been doing stand-up way less than me with way more followers on TikTok. And you know what? It's I blame myself. I am purely jealous of them. I blame myself because they're putting the work into it, and that's what I should have been doing, and I didn't do it. And now I feel like I am behind. I feel like I am too old. And I feel like I'm too old to even be on TikTok. I mean, why would I want to do a dance challenge when I have a herniated disc? I think the other thing that depresses me about TikTok is that there's so many young, excited, happy people on it, and I just their whole lives are ahead of them. And to them the future is full of possibilities, and right now I feel like my future is half full of questionable insurance decisions that will have to be made. And there might still be a few possibilities, maybe. Best case scenario is that something good happens, and I have 5 to 10 years to enjoy it before I suffer from the beginnings of a degenerative disease, and then fade away to dust. And that's assuming the end of the world isn't in 3 weeks. Now, I should be well, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. That's kind of the mindset I'm in right now. Why am I going to lie about it? And I don't know that I should even be posting this. People say you shouldn't post these kinds of thoughts. Well, what they say is I shouldn't post thoughts about being suicidal, which I don't have those thoughts at the moment, but don't tempt me. But I just don't particularly feel like there's a lot of hope right now for my life, for the life that I want. It feels like the life that I want is just becoming more and more of a fantasy. And I don't even think I want that much. Like I don't need to play Madison Square Garden. But to be able to earn a living as a comedian, and to be able to earn a living doing creative, fulfilling things, just seems sorry, I had to stop there because there's this crosswalk. And yes, the pedestrian has the right of way, but it's one of those crosswalks where at any point they can just push the button and it starts flashing. It's not a light. I'm a very fair weather fan. Like if I'm in the car, I hate anything that favors pedestrians, and if I'm a pedestrian, I hate anything that favors cars. Because you know what? I'm tired of being mature, or I'm tired of trying to be mature, or feeling I have to be mature. I want to be a baby. I also don't know. I had a plan for this podcast about a month ago, and that was derailed by severe emotional distress. And so I don't even know what I'm doing with this podcast. I guess, this is what my theory is. My theory is if I just tell you the truth about how I feel, that somehow that will be more entertaining than me writing comedy. That will be more entertaining than trying to be entertaining. We'll see how that times out. Because the goal is comedy. But maybe I have to attack this. Well, I guess what I'm hoping is as I describe the horrors of my life, in the moment, jokes about those horrors will occur to me. And you'll be there to witness it. And instead of saying, oh, you'll go, that was funny. He's a professional. When life gives Joshua Snyder lemons, he makes lemonade and still makes no money off of selling that lemonade. The lemonade tastes great, but there's only 34 people on Instagram who are tasting the lemonade right now. And they're all people who are also trying to make lemonade themselves and not really consumers of lemonade. And no one would be just a fan of lemonade seems to even be seeing the videos. That seems to be what's happening. And I used to think that this whole thing was about me being famous. And that's not what it's about entirely. It's about me being rich. More specifically, rich and well-respected by other comedians. Like if Seinfeld says you're funny and I don't have to worry about paying for health insurance, I'm good. And if I'm remembered for future generations, that too. Okay, so maybe a little bit of fame, but not cheap fame, not fame because I was famous because I took a picture of myself standing, on the edge of a cliff, and people thought, is he going to jump? And that gets 1 million views. Fame because I write a joke, or fame for being funny and clever. That's what I want. That's all I want. Is that Jew much to ask? Yeah, with that's not going to be the joke that gets me there. And if it is the joke that gets me there, again, I'd rather almost take a picture of myself about to jump off a cliff. Now, people are telling me, and by people I mean one particular person is telling me, that I need to be in the moment and just take it day by day. And you know what? Towards the beginning of the pandemic, I was actually there. I was able to feel that. And I think the reason why I was able to feel that was because at that point, no other comedians were doing live physical shows. But now, some comedians are doing live physical shows, and I'm not. And that's the other thing that really is really disturbing. It's frustrating to be in a city that doesn't have its shit together. Really frustrating. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating to just feel like everyone is behind the curve. It's all about flattening the curve. Well, yeah, there's got to get ahead of the mental curve first before you can think about flattening the virus curve. And I'm tired of this virus. Can't we just fire it? Can't we give it 2 weeks' notice? We can do that, right? That's something we can do. also dealing with, I think it's irritable bowel syndrome. I am beyond constipated to the point, I think what I find is that when I get constipated, I actually have to pee more because somehow I can't hold it in as much pee. Or the issue of me having to pee more is a deeper physical problem that could lead to an early death. And why would I want to die young when I can continue to watch the sheer downfall of our civilization? Who would want to check out at this point? I mean, we're at the bottom of Act 2 here, folks. If we're looking at the Blake Snyder screenplay beat sheet, we're at the dark night of the soul. We're at the point where the ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi is about to appear and tell us what we need to do to save the day and complete the hero's journey. So why would now be a good time to tap out? I ask you. The depression has been bad. I've been really wrestling with it. It's just been, why has it been bad? What kind of a question is that? Why has it been bad? Look around thee, my young student. Look around. Oh, that reminds me. I watched this. I watched this Netflix documentary about a guy who followed an octopus around for a year and learned to, and developed a relationship with the octopus. It's called My Octopus Teacher. Very good documentary. Very interesting. And a couple of thoughts about it. I guess he grew up, he was saying when he was younger, he lived for part of the time in a small cabin on the coast. And the coast that he lived on was a very violent coast. And that, I guess, very often the waves would flood the bottom level of the house. And I feel like if that was happening so frequently, you'd think they would have noticed that as they were building the house. Yeah, Jimmy tried to lay the foundation today, and he's gone. He's now, he's out to sea. You sure you don't want us to move this house up 5, maybe even 10 feet? No. You put it there. We scouted it out. I like the location. And what are the chances that the human race is going to cause climate change and make the shoreline disappear? What are the chances? We're fine, guys. We're fine. Now, the other thing that really kind of struck me about this documentary was this notion that because he grew up by the sea, and then he became a nature photographer, and he was spending actually more of his time in, I think, Central Africa is where he said it was. And then it sounds like he went through a bit of an existential crisis and had to stopped his job. He felt like he was just not mentally well, and he had this urge to return to the sea, the place of his childhood, and reconnect with nature. And that's basically what this documentary is about. It's a fascinating story of his reconnecting with nature, reconnecting with himself through this relationship with the octopus. And the idea of returning to one's childhood home really struck me, because for him, his home was this very dynamic coastal underwater kelp forest. And for me, my childhood habitat would be the Cherry Creek Mall. And I got to say, I've noticed that I always, no matter where I live, I always know where the local mall is, and inevitably I end up there. So I'm feeling that in order for me to reconnect with myself and with my sense of nature, I need to find a mall, and I need to bond with somebody who works at a kiosk and make a documentary about it and learn to understand the kiosk worker. So I think that's going to be my project in Q1 of 2021, folks. It should be just a stellar documentary, I think. Really looking forward to it. Well, there we go. We did this. It was a little 20-minute thing. I talked about some things. I feel better about some things. Something in there might be at least hopefully interesting. You know, hey, tell your friends I have a podcast. Maybe on TikTok. Maybe you're one of those people who, made 3 videos and now has 1 million followers. Tell some of them I have a podcast. And point them in this direction. And tell them that when they are feeling too happy, I am the salve that they can put on their face, metaphorically.